St. Augustine's Confessions. This is Book 1. 1. Can any praise be worthy of the Lord's majesty? How magnificent his strength, how inscrutable his wisdom. Man is of your creatures, Lord, and his instinct is to praise you. He bears about him the mark of death, the sign of his own sin, to remind him that you thwart the proud. But still, since he is part of your creation, he wishes to praise you. The thought of you stirs him so deeply that he cannot be content unless he praises you, because you made us for yourself, and our hearts find no peace until they rest in you. Grant me, Lord, to know and understand whether a man is first to pray to you for help or to praise you, and whether he must know you before he can call you to his aid. If he does not know you, how can he pray to you? For he may call for some other help, mistaking it for yours. Or are men to pray to you and learn to know you through their prayers? Only, how are they to call upon the Lord until they have learned to believe in him? And how are they to believe in him without a preacher to listen to? Those who look for the Lord will cry out in praise of him, because all who look for him shall find him. And when they find him, they will praise him. I shall look for you, Lord, by praying to you, and as I pray, I shall believe in you, because we have had preachers to tell us about you. It is in my faith that calls to you, Lord, the faith which you gave me and made to live in me through the merits of your Son, who became man, and through the ministry of your preacher. 2. How shall I call upon my God for aid, when the call I make is for my Lord and my God to come into myself? What place is there in me to which my God can come? What place that can receive the God who made heaven and earth? Does this then mean, O Lord my God, that there is in me something fit to contain you? Can even heaven and earth, which you made and in which you made me, contain you? Or since nothing that exists could exist without you, does this mean that whatever exists does, in this sense, contain you? If this is so, since I too exist, why do I ask you to come into me? For I should not be there at all unless, in this way, you are already present within me. I am not in hell, and yet you are there too. For if I sink down to the world beneath, you are present still. So then, I should be null and void and could not rest at all if you, my God, were not in me. Or is it rather that I should not exist, unless I existed in you? For all things find in you their origin, their impulse, the center of their being. This, Lord, is the true answer to my question. But if I exist in you, how can I call upon you to come to me? And where would you come from? For you, my God, have said that you fill heaven and earth. But I cannot go beyond the bounds of heaven and earth, so that you may leave them to come to me. 3. Do heaven and earth then contain the whole of you, since you fill them? Or when once you have filled them, is some part of you left over, because they are too small to hold you? If this is so, when you have filled heaven and earth, does that part of you which remains flow over into some other place? Or is it that you have no need to be contained in anything, because you contain all things in yourself, and fill them by reason of the very fact that you contain them? For the things which you fill by containing them do not sustain and support you, as a water vessel supports the liquid which fills it. Even if they were broken to pieces, you would not flow out of them in a way. And when you pour yourself out over us, you are not drowned down to us, but draw us up to yourself. You are not scattered away, but you gather us together. You fill all things, but do you fill them with your whole self? Or is it that the whole of creation is too small to hold you, and therefore holds only a part of you? And is this same part of you present in all things at once? Or do different things contain different parts of you, greater or smaller according to their size? Does this mean that one part of you is greater and another smaller? Or are you present entirely everywhere at once, and no single thing contains the whole of you? 4. What then is the God I worship? He can be none but the Lord God himself, for who but the Lord is God? What other refuge can there be, except our God? You, my God, are supreme, utmost in goodness, mightiest and all-powerful, most merciful and most just. You are the most hidden from us, and yet the most present amongst us, the most beautiful, and yet the most strong, ever enduring, and yet we cannot comprehend you. You are unchangeable, and yet you change all things. You are never new, never old, and yet all things have new life from you. You are the unseen power that brings decline upon the proud. You are ever active, yet always at rest. You gather all things to yourself, though you suffer no need. You support, you fill, and you protect all things. You create them, nourish them, and bring them to perfection. You seek to make them your own, though you lack for nothing. You love your creatures, but with a gentle love. You treasure them, but without apprehension. You grieve for wrong, but suffer no pain. You can be angry and yet serene. Your works are varied, but your purpose is one and the same. You welcome all who come to you, though you never lost them. You are never in need, yet are glad to gain. Never covetous, yet you exact a return for your gifts. We give abundantly to you, so that we may deserve a reward. Yet which of us has nothing that does not come from you? You repay us what we deserve, and yet you owe us nothing to any. You release us from our debts, but you lose nothing thereby. You are my God, my life, my holy delight. But is this enough to say of you? Can any man say enough when he speaks of you? Yet woe betide those who are silent about you. For even those who are most gifted with speech cannot find words to describe you. 5. Who will grant me to rest content in you? To whom shall I turn for the gift of your coming into my heart and filling it to the brim, so that I may forget all the wrong I have done and embrace you alone, my only source of good? Why do you mean so much to me? Help me to find the words to explain. Why do I mean so much to you, that you should command me to love you? And if I fail to love you, you are angry and threaten me with great sorrow, as if not to love you were not sorrow enough in itself. Have pity on me and help me, O Lord my God. Tell me why you mean so much to me. Whisper in my heart, I'm here to save you. Speak so that I may hear your words. My heart has ears ready to listen to you, Lord. Open them wide and whisper in my heart, I am here to save you. I shall hear your voice and make haste to clasp you to myself. Do not hide your face away from me, for I would gladly meet my death to see it, since not to see it would be death indeed. My soul is like a house, small for you to enter, but I pray you to enlarge it. It is in ruins, but I ask you to remake it. It contains much that you will not be pleased to see. This I know and do not hide. But who is to rid it of these things? There is no one but you to whom I can say, if I have sinned unwittingly, do you absolve me? Keep me ever your own servant far from pride. I trust, and trusting I find words to utter. Lord, you know that this is true, for I have not made my transgression known to you. Did you not remit the guilt of my sin? I do not wrangle with you for judgment, for you are truth itself, and I have no wish to delude myself for fear that malice should be self-betrayed. No, I do not wrangle with you, for if you, Lord, will keep record of your iniquities, Master, who has strength to bear it? 6. But dust and ashes though I am, let me appeal to your pity, since it is to you and your mercy that I speak, not to a man who would simply laugh at me. Perhaps you too may laugh at me, but you will be relent and have pity on me. For all I want to tell you, Lord, is that I do not know where I came from when I was born into this life which leads to death, or should I say, this death which leads to life. This much is hidden from me, but although I do not remember it all myself, I know that when I came into the world, all the comforts which your mercy provides were there ready for me. This I was told by my parents, the father who begat me, and the mother who conceived me, the two from whose bodies you formed me in the limits of time. So it was that I was given the comfort of woman's milk. But neither my mother nor my nurses filled their breasts of their own accord, for it was you who used them, as your law prescribes, to give me infants' food, and a share of riches which you distribute even among the most humblest of all created things. It was also by your gift that I did not wish for more than you gave, and that my nurses gladly passed on to me what you gave to them. They did this because they loved me in the way that you had ordained, and their love made them anxious to give to me what they had received in plenty from you. For it was to their own good that what was good for me should come to me from them, though of course it did not come to me from them, but through them, from you, because you, my God, are the source of all good, and everywhere you preserve me. All this I have learned since then, because all the gifts you have given to me, both spiritual and material, proclaim the truth of it. But in those days, all I knew was how to suck, and how to lie still when my body seemed sensed comfort, or cry when it felt pain. Later on, I began to smile as well, first in my sleep, and then when I was awake. Others told me this about myself, and I believe what they said, because we see other babies do the same. But I cannot remember it myself. Little by little, I began to realize where I was and to want to make my wishes known to others who might satisfy them. But this I could not do, because my wishes were inside me, while other people were outside, and they had no faculty which could penetrate my mind. So I would toss my arms and legs and make noises, hoping that such few signs as I could make would show any meaning, though they were quite unlike what they were meant to mean. And if my wishes were not carried out, either because they had not been understood, or because what I wanted would have harmed me, I would get cross with my elders, who were not at my beck and call, and with people who were not my servants, simply because they did not attend to my wishes. And I would take my revenge by bursting into tears. By watching babies, I have learned that this is how they behave, and they quite unconsciously have done more than those who brought me up and knew all about it to convince me that I behaved in just the same way myself. My infancy is long since dead, yet I am still alive. But you, Lord, live forever, and nothing in you dies, because you have existed from before the very beginning of the ages, before anything that could be said to go before. And you are God and Lord of all you have created. In you are the first causes of all things, not eternal, the unchangeable origins of all things that suffer change, the everlasting reason of all things that are subject to the passage of time, and have no reason in themselves. Have pity then on me, God, O God, for it is pity that I need. Answer my prayer, and tell me whether my infancy followed upon some other stage of life that had died before it. Was it the stage of life that I spent in my mother's womb? For I have learned a little about that too, and I have myself seen women who were pregnant. But what came before that? O God, my delight, was I anywhere? Was I anybody? These are questions I must put to you, for I have no one else to answer them. Neither my father nor my mother could tell me, nor could I find out from experience of other people or from my own memory. Do my questions provoke you to smile at me, and bid me simply to acknowledge you and praise you for what I do to know? I do acknowledge you, Lord of heaven and earth, and I praise you for my first beginnings, although I cannot remember them. But you have allowed men to discover these things about themselves by watching other babies, and also to learn much from what women have to tell. I know that I was a living person even at that age, and as I came towards the end of infancy, I tried to find signs to convey my feelings to others. Where could such a living creature come from if not from you, O Lord? Can it be that any man has skill to fabricate himself? Or can there be some channel by which we derive our life and our very existence from some other source other than you? Surely we can only derive them from our Maker, from you, Lord, to whom living and being are not different things, since infinite life and infinite being are one and the same. For you are infinite and never change. In you today never comes to an end, and yet our today does come to an end in you, because time, as well as everything else, exists in you. If it did not, it would have no means of passing. And since your years never come to an end, for you, they are simply today. The countless days of our lives and of our forefathers' lives have passed by within your today. From it they have received their due measure of duration in their very existence. And so it will be with all the other days which are still to come. But you yourself are eternally the same. In your today, you will make all that is to exist tomorrow and thereafter. And in your today, you will have made all that existed yesterday and for it ever before. Need it concern me if some people cannot understand this. Let them ask what it means, and be glad to ask. But they may content themselves with the question alone. For it is better for them to find you and leave the questions unanswered than to find the answer without finding you. 7. Hear me, O God. How wicked are the sins of men! Men say this, and you pity them because you made man, but you did not make sin in him. Who can recall to me the sins I committed as a baby? For in your sight no man is free from sin, not even a child who has lived only one day on earth. Who can show me what my sins were? Some small baby in whom I can see all that I do not remember about myself. What sins, then, did I commit when I was a baby myself? Was it a sin to cry when I wanted to feed at the breast? I am too old now to feed on my mother's milk. But if I were to cry for the kind of food suited to my age, others would rightly laugh me to scorn and remonstrate with me. So then too I deserved a scolding for what I did. But since I could not have understood the scolding, it would have been unreasonable and most unusual to rebuke me. We root out these faults and discard them as we grow up, and this is proof enough that they are faults, because I have never seen a man purposely throw out the good when he clears away the bad. It can hardly be right for a child, even at that age, to cry for everything, including things which would harm him, to work himself into a tantrum against people older than himself and not required to obey him, and to try his best to strike and hurt others, who know better than he does, including his own parents, when they do not give it, when they do not give in to him and refuse to pander to whims which will not only do him harm. This shows that if babies are innocent, it is not for lack of will to do harm, but for lack of strength. I've seen, I have myself seen jealousy in a baby and know what it means. He was not old enough to talk, but whenever he saw his foster brother at the breast, he would grow pale with envy. This much is common knowledge. Mothers and nurses say that they work such things out of the system by one means of another. But surely it cannot be called innocence. When the milk flows in such abundance from its source, to object to a rival desperately in need and depending for his life on this one form of nourishment. Such faults are not small or unimportant, but we are tender-hearted and bear with them because we know that the child will grow out of them. It is clear that they are not mere peccadillos, because the same faults are intolerable in older persons. You, O Lord my God, gave me life and my body when I was born. You gave my body its five senses. You furnished it with limbs and gave it proper proportions, and you implanted it all the instincts necessary for the welfare and safety of a living creature. For these gifts you command me to acknowledge you and praise you and sing in honor of your name, because you are Almighty God, because you are good, because I owe you praise for these things, even if you have done nothing else. No one but you can do these things, because you are the one and only mold in which all things are cast, and the perfect form which shapes all things, and everything takes its place according to your law. I do not remember that early part of my life, O Lord, but I believe what other people have told me about it, and from watching other babies, I can conclude that I also lived as they did. But true enough my conclusions may be, I do not like to think of that period as part of the same life I now lead, because it is dim and forgotten, and in this sense it is no different from the time I spent in my mother's womb. But if I was born in sin, and guilt was with me already when my mother conceived me, where, I ask you, Lord, where or when was I, your servant, ever innocent? But I will say, but I will say no more about that time, for since no trace of it remains in my memory, it needs no longer to concern me. 8. The next stage in my life as I grew up was boyhood. Or would it be truer to say that boyhood overtook me and followed upon my infancy? Not that my infancy left me, for it did. Where did it go? All the same, it was no longer there, because I ceased to be a baby unable to talk. I was now a boy with the power of speech. I can remember that time, and later on I realized how I had learned to speak. It was not my elders who showed me the words by some set system of instruction, in the way that they taught me to read, not long afterwards, but instead I taught myself by using the intelligence by which you, my God, gave to me. For when I tried to express my meaning by crying out and making various sounds and movements, so that my wishes should be obeyed, I found that I could not convey all that I meant, or make myself understood by everyone whom I wished to understand me. So my memory prompted me. I noticed that people would name some object and then turn towards whatever it was that they had named. I watched them and understood that the sound they made when they wanted to indicate that particular thing was the name which they gave to it, and their actions clearly showed what they meant. For there is a kind of universal language consisting of expressions of the face and eyes, gestures and tones of voice, which can show whether a person means to ask for something and get it, or refuse it and have nothing to do with it. So by hearing words arranged in various phrases and constantly repeated, I gradually pieced together what they stood for, and when my tongue had mastered the pronunciation, I began to express my wishes by means of them. In this way I made my wants known to my family, and they made theirs known to me, and I took a further step into the stormy life of human society, although I was still subject to the authority of my parents and the will of my elders. 9. But O God, my God, I now went through a period of suffering and humiliation. I was told that it was right and proper for me as a boy to pay attention to my teachers, that I should do well in my study of grammar and get on in the world. This was the way to gain the respect of others, and win for myself what passes for wealth in this world. So I was sent to school to learn to read. I was too small to understand what purpose it might serve, and yet if I was idle at my studies, I was beaten for it, because beating was favored by tradition. Countless boys long since forgotten had built up this stony path for us to tread, and we were made to pass along it, adding to the toil and sorrow of the sons of Adam. But we found that some men prayed to you, Lord, and we learned from them to do the same, thinking of you in the only way that we could understand, as some great person who could listen to us and help us, even though we could not see you or hear you or touch you. I was still a boy when I first began to pray to you, my help and refuge. I used to prattle away to you, and though I was small, my devotion was great, and when I begged you not to let me be beaten at school, sometimes for my own good, you did not grant my prayer. And then my elders and even my parents, who certainly wished me no harm, would laugh at the beating I got. And in those days, beatings were my one great bugbear. O Lord, throughout the world men beseech you to preserve them from the rack and the hook, and various similar tortures which terrify them. Some people are merely callous, but if a man clings to you with great devotion, how can his piety inspire him to find it in his heart to make light of these tortures, when he loves those who dread them so fearfully? And yet this was how our parents scoffed at the torments which we suffered at the hands of our masters. For we feared the whip just as much as others fear the rack, and we no less than they begged you to preserve us from it. But we sinned by reading and writing, and studying less than was expected of us. We lacked neither memory nor intelligence, but because by your will, O Lord, we had as much of both and sufficient for our years. But we enjoyed playing games and were punished for them by men who played games themselves. However, grown-up games are known as business, and even though boys' games are much the same, they are punished for them by their elders. No one pities either the boys or the men, though surely we deserve pity, for I cannot believe that a good judge would approve of the beatings I received as a boy, on the ground that my games delayed my progress in studying subjects which would enable me to play a less creditable game later in life. Was the master who beat me himself very different from me? If we were worsted by a colleague in some petty argument, he would be convulsed with anger and envy, much more so than I was when a playmate beat me in a game of ball. 10. And yet I sinned, O Lord my God, creator and arbiter of all natural things, but arbiter only, not creator of sin. I sinned, O Lord, by disobeying my parents and the masters of whom I have spoken, for whatever purpose they had in mind. Later on I might have put to good use all the things which they wanted me to learn. I was disobedient, not because I chose something better than they proposed to me, but simply from the love of games. For I like to score a fine win at sport, or to have my ears tickled by the make-believe of the stage, which only made them itch the more. As time went on, my eyes shone more and more with the same eager curiosity, because I wanted to see the shows and sports which grown-ups enjoyed. The patrons who pay for the production of these shows are held in esteem such as most parents would wish for their children. Yet the same parents willingly allow their children to be flogged if they are distracted by these displays from the studies which are supposed to fit them to grow rich and give the same sort of shows themselves. Look on these things with pity, O Lord, and free us who now call upon you from such delusions. Set free also those who have not yet called upon you, so that they may pray to you, and you may free them from this folly.